This is the new 2019 half-ton Dodge. I'm going to show you how to mount the Frontier front end on this thing. We haven't had one in here yet with tow hooks, so we're going to kind of explain this first. I've seen one with tow hooks, so we're not sure positive if you can remove the chrome bumper before or after the tow hook. So if you want, just go ahead and remove the tow hook right away. Up underneath, you're going to have two vertical bolts right here. You're going to have one right here that's not here because this one doesn't have tow hook, and there's a nut on the inside of the frame. But there's one vertical bolt right here, and then there's this bolt right here. Completely remove this bolt that goes in right here into the bottom of the frame, and this one I don't think you have to remove all the way because it's actually part of the body bolt too. So just remove it enough. And there's a little ring around that thing. It's a half moon type thing. You loosen that thing and that tow hook's going to slide back and it'll come down. Then you can just put that bolt right back where it came from right there, and you don't even have to drop the bolt out whatsoever. Just loosen enough to where you can get that tow hook to slide backwards and it'll drop down. Get the tow hook out of the way, then you can remove the chrome bumper. To remove the chrome bumper, there's 3 bolts on each side. You can see the top 2 right here and then the bottom one. From the back side, you can get an impact on these 2. On the top inside, you're actually going to have to get a wrench to remove those bolts, to remove that bolt. You can't get to it with the impact. So you're going to have 3 on each side. And once you've done that, when you get the bumper, you're going to need to pull out on the bottom of the bumper. We've already removed it. That makes it easier for you to see what we're doing right here. But pull out on the bottom of the bumper quite a bit, and then the bumper will peel up and it'll drop straight down. The other thing also is you got a little bit of a plastic out here that has to be removed. There's 3 8mm little bolts from the back side. You can get to it right between here and the tire. That's got to come out so that plastic comes off of the chrome bumper also. But do that before you, I do that first. Go ahead and do those 3 8mm on each side first, and then go ahead and remove these bolts here. Once you've got your chrome bumper off, let me show you the bracket here while we're down here. That way it's out of the way. On the other side, we've kind of got it up here. This bracket's going to go up there, and you're going to use 12 by 45mm bolts on the top outside 2 and the top inside one, just like you took the bumper off. We've actually got a bolt hole on the bottom also. If you wanted to, you can put that bracket up there and you can mark that. You can actually drill that if you wanted to have all 4 corners. We can't do that because we're going to send the truck back to the dealership. But there is a hole there if you so desired. The front end is plenty strong without doing that, so if you don't want to do that, that's strictly up to you. We just gave it an option, okay? You can see the bump, there's a lot left and a right on the brackets. You can see how when you put it up there, it pushes. This is the part that the front end is going to mount to. It pushes to the inside, okay? So you don't want to make it to where it's on the outside. If you put it, swap it, then you're going to have actually this piece on the outside, and it's going to be too wide for the front end, okay? But you can see how that's going to mount on there, okay? This other side's already got that front end bracket on there, so you can kind of see how that's done. Okay, so there's 3 bolts on each side if you don't drill that one that's going to mount that way. Okay, so now when we come up to the chrome bumper, if you have sensors, in order to get the center sensors out, you're going to use the factory sensor housings, okay? So you got to get to the sensors. There's this long old piece, which we've already kind of taken loose to help show you everything too. There's this long old piece. Well, it kind of looks like one of them snapped back in there. There's this long old piece. You can see where the sensors are kind of down inside there. You're going to see that sensor wiring, okay? So you got to get to these 2 sensors that are on the center. So this bar is going to be on there like that. And to show you from this side, basically, you've got to get all these little clips loose, okay? So pull up from the other side. Let me come around on the other side, the camera there, and we're going to show you all these little clips have got to be loosened out. Best way is to pull this one out, and then you can kind of get another screwdriver and pull out, because you see how it clips in right there. It's kind of a little bit of a pain in the rear, so if you got somebody else that can help you do that, it's easier with one hand. So when you get one out, you can kind of get them to help you keep the thing out, and you just got to keep working down the thing. Probably best thing to do is start on one end and work all the way down, but work from where I call the bottom of the bumper to be facing down. Work down like that. That way when you get that done, it just peels up. it comes apart real easy, okay? To me, it was easier working from the bottom side instead of the top side, okay? But that's how you get to those sensors. And this is a sensor, we'll go to the center right here. I'll just do it right here. In order to get that sensor out, there's a little plastic white clip. You just take and you pull it in. And I believe that's gonna, I'm sorry, you gotta pull it up a little bit. And then you pull in like that and it's gonna release, okay? And to get the sensor out, I kind of messing up. It's easier if you got your finger from the front side. You can just put a screwdriver in that little housing right there and the sensor will pull out. Then you just need to put, there's some little bitty clips you need to press right there in that sensor housing. Pushes to the center or to the front. And I gotta lift the bumper to get it out, but now you got your housing out. You're gonna put that housing back in your Frontier bumper just like it came out, and then you're gonna put your sensor back in the back side of it just like you took it out of your front end, okay? So just do that, just make sure they all go in the same place just like you took them out of your factory bumper into your Frontier bumper. You've got one here on the side, right here. You've got one on the side that's going to go into your end cap, which is called the end cap of your front end. And you've got one down here that's really, really hard to get to, okay? So what I would do, or how we do it, take these two out and take that top one out right there. And I believe you take this one out right here. You need to take this little cup off of here too. But if you'll do that, there's two more up here that kind of hold all this in place. But if you'll do that on each side, you can actually lift up on this thing and then you can get to that sensor that's right down there and get that thing out of there. Okay, so you're just going to have to take some things loose to be able to get to that one. You can get to the two center ones just like how we did. The outside one's easy, but it is actually behind your fog light. We haven't showed the fog light yet. You're going to have to take the fog lights out first. Now, over here, in order to get your fog lights out, you've got these two bolts right here that need to come out. This hole and this housing is going to come out with the light, okay, and you're going to put it in your front bumper replacement. These two bolts come out. This hole right here is actually going to be used with one of the 1/4x1 bolts in your bolt bag. You're going to have one bolt comes out right here. It's not used. This one's not used. This one's not used. And then the top two, these are all 10mm bolts. The top two right here, they're going to come out, and you're actually going to reuse those two factory bolts to put the light in your front end over there. And we can show you how to mount that light. Now this light, depending on the package that you get, either it's going to be like this, I call it rectangle, however you want to call it. There's also one that's kind of more round, okay? We picked this one to make the bumper off of because the round light will actually fit in that triangular hole. It's just that the triangle, it's just going to be extra outside of the triangle from the round light, okay? So, but this wouldn't work in the round light cutout, so we decided to do that. It's just the cutout's going to look bigger, a little out of shape, but that way it'll work for both kinds on there. But you're going to take that out, and we can come over here and we can show you how the light was put in the factory bumper. Okay. Again, there's that 1/4x1 bolt right there, and we went ahead and used the factory top two bolts in there. Okay. So just put the same side, passenger on passenger, driver on driver, and that's how you put your fog light in. Again, you're going to put your grommets. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab it. You're going to put your factory grommets. You're going to put them in from the back like that, okay? And then you're going to, I believe that was rotated like that though. And then you're going to put your sensor in there just like that, okay? And then you're going to end up doing that all the way across on all your sensors. And you're going to have to take your harness out of your bumper. Make sure you got passenger, driver on driver. You're going to mess up with your fog lights and your main plug and all that underneath the truck. So go ahead and get all your harness in. You can put your harness in here. You see how right here we've got these little holes punched in here to where you can actually put zip ties or whatever. You can put your harness in here and help hold it on there better. Okay, this one has actually got a light bar option in it right here. You can kind of see how the light bar is done in. This front end is actually done off of the rigid light bar, okay? So if you don't have a rigid light bar, there may be a little difference in height or something on your bracket. You may have to make some modifications, but we made it off the rigid light bar. So if you got a different brand than that, and if you're looking at this before you go get a light bar, maybe assume or know that you're going to have to maybe do some altercation or changing or modification, sorry, on the light bar if it's not a rigid. I'm not sure. Some of the brackets are a little bit different from one to the other. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, but that's how you put your light bar in there. Wiring is instructions, I think, in the light bar package, but we don't do the wiring here. Okay, but you can kind of see this is how our brackets are when the light's not on there. That's where your top two factory bolts go onto, and then there's that 1/4 by 1 bolt that puts that onto here. So, but that's how you put everything together on your front end, and these are going to go on the face plates of your brackets that we showed how to go on the front end. And now we're going to get somebody to help us put this thing up on the truck, and we'll show you how to align it. And these bolts right here are 1/4 by 1 3/4 bolts, or sorry, half by 1 3/4 bolts on these things. The other ones were 12 by 45 millimeters that put the brackets onto the truck. Okay, so we're get them bolts ready out of your kit and get somebody to help you. It's probably better to have one guy on each end and then one guy under the truck to put the bolts on. But we're gonna put this up there and we'll show you how to align it. Now we got the front end up there. You see the sensors and all that are all in that thing. We've already got it tight on there and everything's aligned, but if you do get when you're aligning it, just make sure you got the same gap up underneath here all the way, and that's how you know if you got it up and down from side to side right. And to go side to side, just make sure you got the same amount hanging over on your, what we call our deck plate by the end cap right here. Just make sure you got the same amount right there on each side. But then you say you got the same reveal right there all the way around. That's how you know if you got it up and down right. And once you've got all that, you go ahead and tighten your bolts. And at the end, that little plastic that you took loose from your chrome bumper, you're going to go ahead and reattach to your end cap here. We got a little hole there that you can put that bolt in. It's 1/4 by 1 in your bolt kit that you're going to put in there. And you need to put that in there so that plastic doesn't flop around on there. But that's the install on that thing. If you had a full front end replacement, it's got the loops and all that on there. What I'd always do is get back to make sure it's right up and down. You can do here too, but I always like to make sure those loops are the same height on each side by the lights, by the headlights, so you can get back right in the very center and just eyeball it and get down and make sure it's right with your headlights and that. But it's basically the same thing as what we call, this is the extreme. On the mounting brackets, we said earlier that one hole that you can drill, but you don't have to. If you get our Sport Series, which doesn't have any of this, it's just the diamond plate bumper part, the Sport Series, it's got some lugs on here that you can actually pull off of. On that bracket, we do recommend that you go ahead and drill that hole in that bracket into the frame cap so it's got all 4 holes occupied or bolted on there. Because when you pull on them things, you really ought to have all 4 holes on there. So if you get our Sport Series, go ahead and drill that hole in the mounting bracket and put that other bolt in there. But that's your install on your Frontier front end products.